A very good evening to everyone. Thank you for being here and welcome to the first webinar lecture. By the way, my name is Atina Palmay. I will be moderating this session tonight. This is the first in a series of lecture planned to be organized over the coming days. The idea of holding this kind of webinar lecture actually came about after discussion over WhatsApp exchanges that took place among some socially conscious people composed of scholars, bureaucrats, and social activists of the Zhejiang in Puyi. The intention is to create deeper consciousness on the socio-political issues confronting us today through meaningful interactions, study, and research on relevant subjects. We felt that one of the ways to go about is to revisit and explore our history of our foreparents so as to establish clarity of understanding about the historical significance and its relation to social, cultural, economic, and political situation of our people in the contemporary world. Just before I get to the topic, I want to run you through the schedule for tonight. Right after this brief introduction, I will give the time to a speaker and he will take 40 minutes to speak. And this will be followed by question and answers that will take up 10 to 15 minutes. And I request every one of you to leave your questions in the chat box and we will make sure that all your questions is addressed. I believe that there will be a lot of interesting questions generated out of this lecture. And we'll try our best to address all of your questions accordingly, of course, within the given time frame. So right after the question and answers, there will be a recap and a closing remark. And that is how the program for today will end. Now, I would like to run you through the topic very briefly. Today's topic, Makamv Gwangdih as imagined by Haipou Jadonang. It is chosen with the objective to establish a clear understanding about the philosophy and political ideology of Haipou Jadonang in relation to Naga nationalism. Haipou Jadonang is no doubt a legendary figure of the Naga nations and many people knows about him. However, there are differing opinions and theories around him. Some acknowledge him as a political activist, some as a socio-religious reformer, and yet others projected him as the founder of Heraka religion. So there is this cloud of confusion surrounding his identity, his work, and his contribution to the Naga nation. Therefore, it is necessary to examine the past events of his life and activities from the primary sources and also based on available facts and evidences where possible. The intention here is to do away with the historical misinterpretation and misleading information, if any, but to correct the historical narrative of this great man and do justice to his legacy. To take us through this exercise, we are very fortunate to have a special person among us tonight as our guest speaker. It is my great pleasure to introduce Professor Mejil Ongkamson, former Union Minister of State for Home Affairs under the Government of India. He was elected 4 times to the House of the People, the Lok Sabha, as Member of Parliament, representing the Manipur Outer Parliamentary Constituency. He is a highly respected public figure. He is not only an accomplished politician, but also a successful social worker who has done a lot of great work for the society. He is a scholar, he is an educationist, a journalist, and a sportsman at the same time. His yeoman service and contribution to the progress and development of our nation, and in particular to the Naga and Zhejiang in Puyi people, is highly commendable and worthy to be noted. And today, he will be sharing with us his expertise opinion and insights on the historical account of the legendary Haipou Jadonang, his political vision and activities in relation to the Naga nationalism. On behalf of the organizer, I wish to extend my appreciation to him for accepting our invitation and to give this important lecture. I'm very excited, and I'm sure every one of you is as excited as me. And with that, I request you all to give your full attention to the speaker and help me now in welcoming him to take the time. Professor, over to you, please.
Thank you. Good evening to you all. Happy morning. And in India, it is Happy Diwali. I was planning to give out a written paper, but unfortunately, in the meantime, I was not well. In the meantime, the talking points suggested by Atina Palmer and also a few 2, 3, 4 by Adina. So their question points are like this. I have noted down. 1. All this order can be changed. This I'm going to read out now. Who really was Haipou Jadonang? One question. Talking point, not a question. So this very word, who really was Haipou Jadonang, it gives me an idea that you want to know what actually is Haipou Jadonang. From his history, we know everything. He was born in Turon, 1905. His father, his parents, everything. These are not the thing. The real Jadonang. What is real Jadonang? So that is one point important. Your talking point is very important. There's got some deep meaning inside. So I think I appreciate it. Then second point is, was Haipou Jadonang a social religious reformer only, alone? Or was his movement simultaneously a political movement? So you have got an impression that Haipou Jadonang is a social and religious reformer, mainly. That is how you have taken in your mind. Therefore, you have given secondary importance to political movement. So you are asking this point. That is how I just grasp the idea from you. Then, where Jamie, Liang Mai, and Hui Mai are also part of the movement. This question is very simple thing, but you want to know on this because I think since you are very educated people, scholars, young, brilliant people, so your level, a person of your level, do not understand what actually is Haipou Jadonang, then how can we expect that the mass people will be understanding it well, correctly? So there must be something lacking somewhere. So your attempt today itself is just to make up that lacking point in ideas about his activities, about his ideology, his objectives, and his life. So there is something to be done, particularly for, for the country, for the people. Now again, there are so many things, but simply I just pick out, for example, what we have given very was Jadonang the one who used the term Naga Raj movement. So this is also very important thing. You have to know. Till today we have been talking about Jadonang movement, rebellion, this thing, that thing. But actually, what is the name of this movement? People today associate it means that movement as social religious cult, devoid of any political angle. It is also general conception is like that. Actually, it is the other way. Jadonang is mainly political, man objective. his vision, his aim, his goal is political. Others, social and religious, it is his own character. His inborn quality. He has got some mystical power or whatever. So from that angle, he may judgment. He may be a social or customary reformer, but actually that is not the aim of his life. His aim is to have a country of our Makamv. We call it Jalengong for some time. But recently, youngster one, young learned people comes up and you are trying to reject Jalengong also. Now you break up again, small things, and you are very happy there. But I'm very sorry. I want unity. I want to come together closer than today. Jalengong has bound us for about 20 years, from 1947. Before that, we don't have any name. British call us in Manipur. British branded as Kabul. In Assam and Nagaland, Kasar Hill District and Naga Hill District. There is British government there, administration, British colonial administration in Assam. They branded these same people, Jamelia Mero, all these, as Kasanaga. So they are putting like this. So in this situation, 1947 resolution to form the Jalengong as a body, as a name of, as a nomenclature of the combined organization. That was good. It served a good purpose for these 70 years. It has given us very good things for us together. But unfortunately, the people do not like Jalengong. So in this situation, we need to rethink again what actually is needed for us about the nomenclature. Then again, here is a question also. Naga Raj movement and Jalengong movement, is it the same thing, one or the same? Then again, whether Kampai cult is also same thing to Jadonang movement, or this Haraka movement, is it the same thing with Jadonang movement? You have to this question, very important. The first who really was Haipou Jadonang. It is a very simple question, but will have very deep meaning. Haipou Jadonang, simple sentence, is the first Naga who stood up to free Naga country. He is the only one, the first man. That is why I said this thing. He is illiterate, not educated, and just in the corner of the Hill district. How can you say like this? Because at that time, Naga Hills district and Kasar Hills district are also under British colonial rule. There, in 1918, some Naga salaried people, office employee of low rank, because they are not educated at that time. Some are saprasis, some are interpreters, called Dubasi, like this. And only one or two are their clerk. So these 4, 5, 6, 10 people gather together and form a Naga club. And it is also not with the will and wish of the entire Naga people, because at that situation, this type of organization was not possible. So therefore, only those people who are employed in the office of the Deputy Commissioner of Naga Hills, they sit together and form the Naga club. So in one sense, it is a very good step. But actually, they don't have any political goal, political target, political ideology. Simply just a kind of social mixing, social gathering, being employee. There was some goal, some duty. And this Naga club After 10, 11 years, that means in 1929, January 10, submitted a memorandum to the visiting Simon Commission. There, what they write in that memorandum, we remember, we know. They say, the Naga people, if the British, if you British people are going to lead us, don't trust us to those people, means maybe Manipuri, maybe Assamese, maybe something, who had never conquered us. We should be given under them. We should be left free as before you come. This is the only thing they say. They have any idea, they have no idea of fighting against the British. No idea of freedom, no idea of raising any rebellion. Simply they are good men, know that. And some consciousness come as a Naga people, know that. But they don't have any politics. So when Simon Commission was submitting this memorandum, which has no political ideology, no target, political target, Jadonang had already been portrayed for Makamv Gwangdih, as you even hear. Makamv Gwangdih. That means the country, free country for how many people. Jadonang started this around 1925, this work. But actually we don't know. At that time there is no idea of that and air or this thing. But actually about 1927, his close associates had been told by him that one day our people should come back and have our king. He had no idea of what is sovereignty, what is democracy, what is independence, what is country. We are a people. Why we should be ruled by some other outside coming here. That is the idea. That is how he explained it. Therefore, the Jadonang started demanding this from 1935, and they kept it strictly secret up to 1927. Unfortunately, in 1927, this news has leaked out and reached the ear of the Deputy Commissioner of Naga Hills and this other colonial ruler. Therefore, Jadonang was first arrested in December 1928 and put jail in Taman jail. So, why I am comparing this? I am comparing because Naga Club, which was formed in 1918, and after 10 years, in 1929, they submitted memorandum to Simon Commission. To that level, they are not up to the level of political demand or independence or nothing like that. That time, Jadonang had already been in debt for past 3, 4, 5 years. Therefore, I said Jadonang is the first Naga who stood up to drive out the colonial rule out of the Naga country. So he is the first one. So you say, who really was Haipou Jadonang? I said Jadonang is the first man who wanted to drive out rule from alien country. This is a very important thing. So what he has done after that, it is different matter. But as you asked me, actually when you are explaining who is the Jadonang, there are so many things. He was born in Cameroon and he is a little mystic. So he was born with certain mystical or spiritual or something unusual. He has got some power, like he dreams, he shows visions, he has a communion with God, he brought messages for the welfare of the people, he healed the sick, the illness, and the miseries of man, he did medicine. Different things are there, no doubt. And also he tried to revitalize the traditional religion, which was a little going down, deteriorating. And so he was trying to revitalize. He is not bringing a new religion, no. He never bring any new religion here. Simply he tried to purify, to rectify, and revitalize the traditional religion. But it is not his aim. He comes for the one thing. That's why he said, what he said, the Manipuri, the Maitais. The Maitai has his land and his king. The Ba means Tazo Mai in our tongue. Tazo Mai. Now who is Tazo Mai? We don't know. All Indians are Tazo Mai in our tongue. At that time, who is Punjabi, who is Marwari, who is Bengali, nobody knows. We don't know. So our word is Tazo Mai. Other than the Maitai, we know Tazo Mai. That's one. Therefore, Tazo Mai has got their land and their king. Why don't we have a king of all in our land? Why the British people should come and rule us? That is his speech, his political speech. There is nothing about constitution, nothing about democracy, nothing about rights, nothing about freedom, nothing, because these things are not there with him. But only man thing is there, it is freedom. But the truth is there, the spirit is there, correct spirit is there. That is Jadonang. Then again, about this social and religious reform and these things, I think it is not necessary for us to dispute because it takes time unnecessarily because we know it. But what we want to say here, Jadonang was only for the freedom of Naga. But here some questions are also there. Whether Jadonang's movement for Naga freedom, for example, has any effect on other part, area and other tribe. No, at that time it is not possible because there is no road, no communication, no telephone, no media, no newspaper, nothing of the sort. Only you have to travel by on foot and the better path. Not even the road is there. So in that situation, how can you spread the whole thing within 1-2 years up to Arunachal? How can you do it? It's not possible. But it's spread out somehow. And you also asked that whether Jemai, Liangmai, and Nupuimai are also there. Very much. Jadonang never differentiate between Jemai, Liangmai, Romai, Puimai. He never differentiate. And also he never say Romai. He never say Liangmai. He never say Puimai. Jadonang, whenever he converses. Whenever he discusses, whenever he speaks, he said how much. Second word, how Makamv. Third word, Kabui how much. Why he said Kabui how much? Because our this ancestor who first established another village from Makuilungi. Makuilungi was the only village at that time, very big village, 7,777 houses. No new village there. Satellite villages were here, no doubt. Just for paddy cultivation. They cannot come back 10 miles away. They are paddy fields. They cannot come back morning, evening. So they have to go there, stay there sometimes for harvesting. 7,777 Makuilungi houses mean including the satellite. Not a single spot. All the 7,777 reside in a single spot, nothing like that. Makuilungi was so big. On the east side, the present Senapati Road, Dimapur Road is there. On the western side, it is the Barak River, Agu River. On the north side also, banned by the Agu River, on the north. On the south, the present IT Road. The present IT Road, that is south. So in between these, 30-40 kilometers wide in length. Very big. The present Thonglang village, this is the paddy field of Makuilungi. Now, Jadonang was never speaking of this. These things comes later in our history also. He always speak how many, where how many, and Makamv. Younger brother of chief of Makuilungi, Muiba. Muiba was chief of Makuilungi. From today, it is about 2,000 years back ago. Muiba was chief. His younger brother name is Making. So they have lost their this Mithun. He sent his brother to dress up. Makin followed the footsteps of the Mithun, a flock of people, maybe 10, 20, 30, 100, I don't know, not one. They were there at Kabru. Today, Kabru is by motor vehicle about 2 hours from Senapati to Kabru. Only 1 hour. At that time, you go through the jungles, through the thorns, bushes, up and down, straight. It takes 6, 7, 8 days to reach there. So he cannot come back. Therefore, he was asked to settle there. So he established established the village. And the name was there. Since it was established in trekking their Tabui, therefore the village name was Tabuilo. So those who settled there comes to be as Tabui, which is first name from Haumai, separated again. Like this, Zemai, Liangmai, Romai, all these are coming out only after the dispersion of Mukulindi people, exodus from there to different places. Then comes later on these names are evolved slowly. Therefore, Jadonang never used Bomai. He never used Bomai. He never asked Jemai like this. He said, how Makamv, Kabui how. These are the three words he used. Now again, let us come to another point, connected. You said in the question, you asked, what do you mean by how many? What do you mean by Makamv? Not how many, Makamv in your question. What is Makamv? Now, I have to tell another story about this mythology. Haumai and Makamv. According to our tradition, the story is like this. In the beginning, God created man. First he created two, but I will make the story very short. Two, a couple of one man, one woman, he created. And he blew, the God blew his breath, the living breath, with a sound of oh, like this. So because of this living breath of God, this couple came alive. Two couple. These two couple came alive. Therefore, God says their name is Haumai. Haumai means Homai, the cinder of living breath, the cinder of God. This is the original name. After this, the male name is Pokrai. According to biblical story, Adam, Eve and Adam. From that, you can say the Adam means how many people. His name is Pokrai. And the female Eve, her name is Makamv. All these are their hymns today also. Whenever we do some ceremony and everything, religious ceremony, customary ceremony, this story is there as a mantra, as a hymn. So Pokrai is the man, Makamv is the woman. So their generation, their children, descendants become how many people. But these how many people are born by, that means this Makamv. They are called children of Makamv. Children of Makamv are called Makamai. Haumai is the name of the people. Makamai is the relation of all the people through their mother, through the blood of the mother, through the relation of the mother. Makamai is a kind of description of relation. So these two words goes together. Either you call it Haumai or you call it Makamai. That is our name. Haumai means Cinder of God. Makamai means Cinder of Makamv. From this comes this verse. Again, is the beauty. Therefore, now Makamv Gwang. Why it is Makamv Gwang? I'll give another story also. Makamv Gwang is depending. How many people is depending? Makamv Gwang is the ship of our is to Purasonang race, abode of the Purasonang. So
Professor,
when
hold it.
oh
nang repeat sukat da nang phone zoom mo megan ai to
Oh, acha, acha.
Makamv Gwangdih tu mizang ko da kahawg da ho.
Acha, acha. Makamv Gwangdih. I'll repeat again. These people, how many people wanted to shift out of the abode of Sarat Timpuran. Sarat Timpuran house is called dormitory, Kangsu, living together, the place where all live together, so that they can learn all the human behavior, discipline, custom, religion, everything. After that, after thousands of years, when they are mature, they live when they were spread away from here. So who is the man leading them is Rapong. Rapong is a long descendants of this Timpuran, not 1, 2, 3, maybe hundreds of generations. Rapong led out all the Haume people from the abode of Timpuran and settled at Makiang. Makiang, we call it Makiang. Nowadays you call it Makel. Makel. That is first settlement, Makel. But it was not established according to the right, according to formality of the customary religion. Therefore, it is a simply settlement. From there, Rapon again, he left including his sons. He left whole people there at Makel, and he led again, go to Ramting Kabin. That's a cave, not a cave, it is ghost. Ramting Kabin. There they stayed for 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 2, 3 weeks or maybe 1. But they established another village there on a small mound called Kapung Hilltop. There he established. According to formality, rituals, rites, religious, everything. Therefore, the chief there, this is called Sagong Phuning. Sagong Phuning. Sagong means king, Phuning means foundation. So king's foundation. Now you call it Oklong. That village is called Oklong. Sagong Phuning. Sagong means king, Phuning means foundation. King's foundation. So he becomes the chief. Rapong becomes the first chief. Also he was called as Makamv Gwangdih. Means chief. Makam means chief. Makamv Gwangdih. From there comes Makamv Gwangdih. The word Makamv Gwangdih comes from there. Then again, after generation, these Sagong Phuning become very congested, maybe 500, 600 houses. So at the time of another Makamv Gwangdih called Kui Gwang, Kui and Kui Gwang, he expanded his village and settled at Longgijang. Longgijang means Makui Longgi. Because Kui Gwang founded the village, therefore taking his name, it was named Makui Longgi. There they lived there for many thousand years. So about 10, 20 houses at Oglong. From there it expand, and then Makui Longgi stays 7,777. So for ominous reason. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Acha. So Makamv Gwangdih means chief of the established village. From their next chief, all are Makamv Gwangdih. So in the present day, Makamv Gwangdih become the king of that village, of that people. So this name comes there. Then when Makamv Gwangdih finished, there is not a story. After many years again, when Muiba was chief Makamv Gwangdih, his son Making settled at Kogru. And another, his eldest son, Lembangba, settled at Nzai, now Zangkulen, Jai. So Jai people call him Jemina, Jena. Therefore, the name comes Jemina. These Kabuilong people, Making, all these are Kabuimai. So they become Kabui. At that time, the next king, Makamv, shifted his capital to Buluang. Bulong is Buning, near Tamay. At the moment, NSCIM headquarters is there, Buning, at Tamay. There, Makamv Gwang. It is not his name, it is title. His real name, we don't know. Because in the hymns and in these mantras, all these in detailed names are not given. So, Makamv Gwang shifted his capital from Makwilungdi to Buluang. From Buluang, when he shifted there, all his Makwilungdi also started exodus, dispersal to different places, different areas, different directions. There were so many villages comes up, springs up. So what he did, the king, the Makamv Gwang, used to announce Gyana, religion, festival, everything. He did the announcement, he controls everything. This he could not do because of the expansion of so many villages. Therefore, he declared, from today, there will be no order from Makamv Gwang to all your villages. You are free to do under the leader who founded your village. So this way, hundreds of villages come. Makel also dispersed into different villages. From Makel, different groups dispersed. And therefore, from there now comes Angami, Mau, Paumai, Maram, Chakesha, Kusuro. 10, 12 groups goes out of Makel. Still they are known as Tenimai. Tenimai are Makam, how Makamai. Makel is how Makamai. Because it was established by Rapon, who is how Makamai, how Mai. Rapon established Makel. His people, he established Makwilungdi also. Therefore, Makel people, though they did not come up to Makwilungdi, it is sons of Rapon. From there they dispersed. Before they are going, they ask each other whether you want to go or whether you don't want to go. Those who say, yes, we want to go. Let us call in our language, Tatnimai. Tatnimai, those who want to go. These Tatnimai people are called Tinimai. Now, they are called Tinimai. Angami says Tinimai. Paumai says Tinimai. Maumai says Tinimai. Marawi says Tinimai. 12, 13 groups are there among the Naga. These are all autochthonous people. So this is how Makam, the name of Makamv Gwang. Then at the time of dispersion of Makwilungdi, they said, the elders of Makwilungdi, with heavy heart, they announced a prophecy that a time will come when all your descendants and children come back and live here again in Makwilungdi, then you will get your Makamv Gwangdih. You will find your Makamv king again. For today you have to go because of ominous reason this. That was a prophecy made by the elders of that time. Therefore, from that day, we don't have any Makamv Gwang. So Jadonang comes up. He may know this history or not, that I don't know. He is out of his inspiration, out of his vision, out of the revelation from God. He said that one day we'll have how may Gwangdih, he said it. But the king is Makamv Gwang. Country is how may Gwangdih. That is how the prophecy told us. This is the story, how it comes to this. If I can talk the whole story, then it will take 5, 6, 10 hours. Therefore, I'm trying to cut short. So the difficulty is that to cut short is very difficult. So you ask me, what is Makam? Makam means how Makam people. And the king was Makamv Gwang. So for this, from the time of dispersion from Makwilungdi, it is about 2,000 years ago. Till today, we have no longer Makamv Gwang. So that is what I don't know, try to get. When you have a Makamv Gwang and how Gwangdih, then you have an independent state. He may not say you have about independence, sovereignty, state, government, democracy, right, freedom, things like that. Simply, he was telling us it is Makamv Gwangdih. Makamv. The theme of your meeting today also is Makamv Gwangdih as imagined by Haipou Jadonang. That is what you ask the main question. The topic itself is this. Therefore, Haipou Jadonang's idea, conception, philosophy is that we must have again, we must regain, we must restore Makamv Gwangdih, kingship of how the people. All these Zemelia, this evolves after this dispersion of our people from Mukwilungi. They go different direction, different places, so they evolve their name as Zemelia, Later comes these are not original name. The original name is Haumai and Makamv. Makamv is indicative of relationship through mother. Haumai means son of Cinderella of God. It is the man you have here. How many minutes you have taken? I don't know. In this.
Yeah, it is very good. I think it is still within the time frame. I think we would want to continue listening, and it is very enriching. But since we have to also consider the time for others, maybe we'll open up the Q&A, the question and answers hour, so that you can still be with us and help answer questions that the participants may
Actually,
have.
I have to explain to you what is Naga. Your question is
okay.
okay.
If it is agreeable to everyone, maybe we can give him a few more minutes. What do you say?
Okay, very short.
Go ahead. Let's listen some more.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Okay.
Please
Because
continue.
in your question, who is Naga? What is Naga? You have a question there. I think Naga people does not know that they are Nagas. When the British people came there in Assam and Manipur in 1826 under Jandabu Treaty of Jandabu, that is the real situation. They are known by Angami, known as Ao, known as this thing, that thing, 10, 20 different tribes. But as a whole, they never think as Naga. They only understand that those neighboring plain people in Assam call them as Naga. That much they know, no doubt. But they don't never feel that we are Naga. They didn't think it. So this is given to us by the colonial, British colonial administration. This Naga name. Actually, Naga name is not new. It has been there 4,000 years. Today, earlier in this Arizona also, there were Nagas. Today in Jaffna, in Tamil Nadu, there is Naga. And different places of the world, there are Naga. So many Naga, about 5,000 years ago. We may be a part of that Naga also. But actually, we didn't know. I myself, I was studying class 8, 9, 10, something like that when this Naga movement started. And when Naga, this fighting broke out in 1956, I was just class 10 at that time. And Naga bomb blast there at Minithong Bridge at Imphal. So people say that, newspaper says that, who are Nagas? We are Nagas in a way. People call us. But actually, whether we are Nagas, Naga people did not know. Actually, the British administration noted down. Naga people seem to be not noticed like this. So you have got so many topics, so many questions. Let us meet sometimes again if necessary. But main thing, what you want is what Jadonang wanted it. I have explained to some extent. And what is meant by Makamv Gwangdih, I have explained something. And what is the real name of our tribe is how Makamv, it is the real name. God has given this through his mouth, our name. We do not assume from some other thing. God himself gave us according to our story. These things are there recorded in the hymns, in the songs. So I think now you can take next step for discussion.
Okay. Thank you so much, Professor, for the very enriching sharing and discussion. I now want to open the time for question and answers, but the way we will go first on
Tina,
the
Tina,
yeah.
Tina, 1 minute, 1 minute.
Okay.
I
Yes.
want to.
Okay. So while Professor is preparing to,
This is.
you
Can you
can
see
type
this?
your questions. See.
Can you see this? This book. This
Yes.
book.
Yes. We can
Can you
see.
see? Sir.
Yes.
This is Jadonang book, and this is the line where he said, "Nakat, how may we go to Puning? One day, how may we be king?" This one, this line. Rani Dadil read it. I took this book to her in 1981. Rani Gadilu. This book comes to me in 1972 from the
Okay.
Puyon Council. And I got this from them. I tried to read through some other experts. Nobody could read it. Only Rani Gadilu in 1981-82. I saw her. His reading is a style. It is a kind of vision, spiritual way of reading things, not through the letters. There is the prediction given by Jadonang. He wrote it down there, this line, last but one line. That is, Nakat, how may we go to dream? That is Rani Gadili told me. This is the line where he said he wrote it. Now, this is the only single book on earth of Jadonang book. There were plenty of books there at Puiluan one time. In 1972, the village council discussed to give it to me one. They brought it at my home in Fa. And after that, fire accident comes, broke out there in Puiluan and burned down everything to ashes, including the books. Rani's books were being thrown away in 1931 when the British was trying to arrest her. So this is the only one book on earth written by Jadonang, but nobody can read it. Only Rani could read it, only one line he read for me. And this is something that I wanted to say.
That's amazing. It's wonderful.
Here, Rani read out and said that, like how Muru go to Pani. He did not say that Makamv go to Pani. He did not say, she did not say. This is what I wanted. But when you are speaking of the post, the kingship, then Makamv go, not how may go. It is the language how Jadonang or elders used to speak. Relating to the country, it is how may people. Relating to the post, it is called Makamv or Kamv. That is the way how it goes.
Yeah, beautiful. Just a little comment from what I heard. I think the word, as you mentioned, Makamv, is in relation to a mother or a woman.
Mother and a blood relationship, same blood
Yes,
relationship.
a blood relationship. So
Through the mother.
yeah, it is a great thing to and hear and understand that Haipou Jadonang has been one of the first advocates for gender equality.
It is not he to say this Makamv to pronounce it. Long back it has been there, this word, but he used it the right way, in the proper way.
Yeah.
See, when you perform the ceremony, customary ceremony of childbirth, after the birth of 5 days after the birth, this our custom. The child is Christian and everything purification, everything done. On that day, the hymns, the mantra, it says that when God created man and woman, and his women Makamv give birth to old man from his belly, from his stomach, like this. So in that mantra, Makamv name is there. So this is the first one.
Yeah.
And another mantra also, Pokrai is the first man. So his name is there. We are not talking only just simply story. It is from the name itself, in the mantra itself, in the hymns itself, in the song itself.
Yes, now we have some sets of questions coming up. So let me read the first question so that our speaker can answer. Apao, do you know why do cookies also sometimes seems to identify themselves as how? That is the first question.
No. Okay. Let me answer. Cookie is not how. Cookie is not how. And many cookies say that we are not how. Some cookies sometimes for political benefit or something may say this how. Actually, how may is our people, our how many people. And Angami is how, Makamv people. How Makamv, Angami, from Makamv. Makamv is how Makamv settlement by Rapong. I have told the story. That Makamv. So Mau is how Makamv. Paumai is how Makamv. Angami is how Makamv. And then this Marami is how Makamv. Usuri is how Makamv. Chakesa is how Makamv. All this. So they are, according to our story, we are autochthonous people. Autochthonous, you know very well, indigenous. Indigenous, more autochthonous means people who are born and brought up there from that earth. So we are autochthonous. So scholars are saying that we come from China. People are saying like that. They are copying from others. Nobody do any research on that matter. But they said that we are from China. No, it is not possible. I don't like to go that story today. But I said about this how many. The Meitei themselves comes later than us. So Meitei was how many. Pakhang was the first king of Meitei, 33 AD. He went away from Makel to Kachai, that way. And when he was small, he was the third son. His father died. So these three sons went down to the Ukrul areas, down to Iri River and Imphal. So Pakhangba was how Makamai. Maitai may not agree it because they feel that they are degraded in these things, says there. But Pakhangba's sons, I think of sons, their wife's name was How Nuku. How Nuku means how, Nu means female, Ku means younger. How my lady younger. How Nu Han, how my lady elder. These are the wife of the king, Meitei kings. And How Raima, how my lady, Sampubi, basket carrier. That is their goddess, first goddess. They are all how my. So therefore, Meitei also how my. But they converted themselves into Hinduism and they thought that how much are very low grade people. So things comes like that. Nowadays it is the truth. So cookies are newcomer. They come to Manipur, the Thadao cookies comes only in 1845. Only 1845, 170 years back. We have been here for last 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years. We do not come from any outside. Nothing like that. We have been here. God created us here. This is our story. In our hymns, in our songs, these things are there. Yes. So if you don't believe our hymns, our story.
Okay. Oh, okay. I think the answer is clear that cookies is not how.
No.
Yes. So let me move on to the next question. When Naga politics is increasing, becoming partisan, and even Jadonang being hijacked by some vested interests to own him for themselves, how do you see Jadonang's role at large for the collective Naga nation?
Actually, Naga nation developed very recently. Before Jadonang, there was no such idea of unity. Jadonang tried to bring it unity, not for the sake of the people, but he's trying to execute what he saw in his vision, what God told him. So in the process, the unity was brought like this. Naga people's unity comes later on, and even after this Naga club, Only when this Naga movement started, the unity comes there. Nationhood ideas comes later. Before that, Naga tribes were quarreling each other, fighting, inter-village fighting, then inter-tribal fightings, then international feuds. Not between Haus and Angas, not between Sema and Lota, nothing like that. If the fighting is between tribes, then there was some unity at the tribe level. But they are fighting at the village level. Our village and our village, Sema village and Sema village, Lotha village and Lotha village. Like this. Nagas were fighting like every village is independent republic, small republic. No dominating rule over them. Only the British people come and colonize them. From there, the idea comes there. So all this unity for nationhood is given by British for the Nagas. Jadonang, though he has got no idea, complete philosophy, ideology of nationhood, still he is trying to put together, gather together. He is the first.
Yeah. Okay. I think that is a very clear and precise answer. Is there? Thank you, Professor, once again for making us understand in a very clear term. Is there any more questions that the group would like to ask? If not,
One thing I can tell you. I'll tell you one thing. Jadonang, here your question is there. It is important. I just remember. Whether Jadonang movement is the same as Kampai movement or Haraka movement. So these are mixed up nowadays. Actually, Jadonang movement is quite different thing. Kampai is quite different thing. Haraka is quite different thing. Jadonang movement means from his birth or from 1925-27 when he started saying about this Naga country, how my country, to 1932. 1931 he was hanged, 1932 so there ends the chapter of Jadonang. At that time, the word Kampai was not there. At that time, the term Heraka was not there. Nothing like that. Kampai comes only in 1960. In 1956, underground Naga army and Indian army clashes, conflict broke out. 1956. 1957, it comes down to Temangong. Temangong, not the whole Nagas, but Temangong Nagas, underground Nagas, started persecuting traditional religion. Rani Gandhili belongs to that traditional religion. So 1958-59, they started. All the Maibas and the Maibis and all these medicine men, something traditional, they were caught, punished, all these things. I don't like to take the name of our Naga leaders at that time. Of the Memo, not other tribe, only in the Memo district. So because of that persecution, Rani Gadilu and her followers ran away underground from 1960. So when they were trying to hide Rani Gadilu, they brought out a code name of Rani Gadilu. Her name was Kampai, so that nobody knows. From 1960, the Kampai word comes, and it means Rani Gadilu. Kam means hidden, Pai means lady, female. Gender is Pai in our language. Kampai means hidden lady. That means Rani Gadilu. When she was leading this, because of the Christian attack on her and her people. So from that comes the word Kampai. They said that, where is Kampai? So that nobody knows. Where is Rani Gadilu? Then everybody knows. So it is a code word, Kampai. Not a new movement. They run away to the underground to save themselves. Therefore, in 1966, S.C. Dev of Kohiman, Deputy Commissioner, through him, Rani was brought back again, made his agreement, made his surrender, and therefore Kampai is within 1960 to 1966 running for their life and their followers, and sometimes clash with the Naga underground. And Barome was also powerful in 1966 January. So this is Kampai. It is not related with January, nothing. And about Heraka, Heraka Association was formed in 1974, and the first president was N.C. Jelian. He was superintendent of publicity department of Nagaland government. He was my friend. When he was to form the Haraka Association, he came down to Imphal. We discussed it. He was speaking about his mind, everything. And, okay, it's up to you. I know it when they were creating this thing. And this Haraka is a religious matter. It is not Jadonang organization. So these are not, should not be mixed up. So in the books written there also, I remember one, F.S. Downs, who wrote the Mighty Works of God. There are 2-3-4 sentences I come across. Kampai was organized under the leadership of Jadonang as an anti-Christian movement. It is quite confusing, misleading. Jadonang time, there was no Kampai, no movement like that. Kampai comes only in 1960. Jadonang died in 1932. How Jadonang could be leaders of Kampai? Kampai was a clash between Christian and this traditionalists.
Yeah.
This is one. Haraka comes only in 1974. Haraka Association. President N.C. Jelian. I know him. I know this personally. I know all these things. That's why I can speak with authority.
There are lots of questions still coming, but I am afraid we may not be able to address all tonight. But it shows that the lecture, the sharing is very interesting and also inspiring for all of us to know. So I hope that we can hold another session, a rare opportunity for us to have someone.
Right. You're right.
And
Jadonang's associate, the contemporary.
yes.
Jadonang's contemporary. 6 people, including his
but
father.
Just one last question, very brief. You can just give an answer. I think this is a very good question. My colleague and a friend from the UK who just joined in this group today has been listening intently, and she's asking this question: was there any apology from the British? If no, is it that the community want an official apology from the British? That's the question.
I thank her personally very much. I thank her for raising this issue. We may ask apology or not, it is different matter. But the only thing that she said that apology whether British has done or not. We did not ask for apology, nor they did for any apology till today. And I don't think very much. Because British at that time, not the whole British, only 2-3 officers who are cases, they know very well that Jadonang was not committing the crime that he was arrested. He was not there. But they want to eliminate Jadonang only, not others. 5 people who has committed a murder, they confess themselves. They plead guilty. They agree, accepted everything. Yes, we did it. Sorry. Still then, British says whether Jadonang is there or not. Whether Jadonang was there. They said, no, he was not there. He was not there. But still, until unless Jadonang is arrested or do something, then it is not important for them to kill other people, 20-30 people. So last time, all of them said that, yes, Jadonang is there. Because Lambu told them that if you say that Jadonang is there, then all of you will be alive. Jadonang will go. But if you say Jadonang is not there, then Jadonang as well as you will die together. So they said, yes, because he knew that his brother Jadonang was not present on that day of murder, of the incident. So that is the way, because the officer, particularly Mr. Higgins, political agent of Manipur. He was just firm, strict. Jadonang should be punished because he is the man who raised against the British Empire. At that time, British Empire is such a big power there, such a big area there. There was no sunset in British Empire. That is the problem saying at that time. So such a big, and here Jadonang 1, 2, 3 people with only 50 firearms, they challenge the British Empire. That's impossible. They can't fight. Still then, Higgins stood that Jadonang must be eliminated. Now Jadonang was captured, he was hanged. Therefore, it is his personal death. Higgins and his people too. Not the entire British are not thinking in that.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
from our side, we did not ask for any apology. They did not give it. Still then, your friend who raised this question about apology, at least he speaks something with a certain insight, certain feeling, certain sense of judgment as a
Yes.
human rights activist. I don't know whether she is a human rights activist or
Yes, he
not.
is a human rights advocate. Yes,
Because his
that
way
is
of
why.
thinking, his way of thinking, from that
Okay, I have to steal some more time because there is a very important question that should not be left out, and there has been requests coming that it should be covered. So one more. Makamv is not of Makwilung the origin, but still further back to first parents of Haumai, Kokrai and Makamliu, that includes most of major Naga tribes. So it is
Yes.
to include Makamv Gwangdih for Jiliang Pui. That is a comment. But other major tribes are present Nagas. So how do you view, how do other tribes view this narrative?
Now, Naga people, particularly the educated one, the scholars, all of them say that we Naga comes from China or Malaysia or somewhere in Southeast Asia. This, they did not do any scientific research. They did not do any archaeological research. They do not do any scientific anthropological research. Simply they copy from the British administrator, J.P. Mills, Hudson, McCulloch, Brown, this and that. These are all administrators. They are not scientists also. They only just observe there, looking their features, facial features, dress, way of life, and they think, oh, they must be coming from this side, Mongolian side, this side. Okay, generally they can say it. Actually, they are also not doing anything. The British officers are not scientists, not archaeological scientists, not sociological scientists, not anthropological scientists. How can we accept them? Why our men, scholars, doctors, why they should just copy like that? Why they don't study their own fathers, ancestors, forefathers' story, hymns? Our forefathers says that God created there. They give us the spot there. Our Haumakaami people were created at the Garen Hind range called Mahau King. Mahau, which is called Mahau. There he created that man, right, Makamv. And then the first rise to feed that little couple, the great uh, mother creator, took paddy from that leg. The leg is now you call Jakubili. That is, in our German language, it is called Jaku Rajai. Jaku is a name, Rajai means leg. Big leg is called Rajai. Jaku Rajai, paddy from Jaku Rajai was given the first rice to the human being. That Jaku Rajai is there. This is our Haumakaami leg. Not Nagaland, not Manipur. That is in our hymns, in our song, in our mantras. Still today we are doing all these things. Our forefathers gave us this story. But scientists says that this human being, Homo sapien, modern man, it was first matured there at Africa. From there they spread out in three-pronged way, one to the European side, one to the Himalayan side, one to the Western Ghat of India, to this Tamil Nadu and this Sri Lanka, Andaman, three-pronged side like this. So scientists say that it is 70,000 years ago. Maybe we come from there. That is different matter. From China we can't come at all. Because our writers, I have come across some writers. I don't like to name them because it is not argument against anybody. That what they write, our people, including Jalemo people, Mao, Tangkhul, Ao, all these are there. They have written all this. They said that we come from the East, particularly from China. And somebody says that our people was laborer there when Chinese wall was being constructed. Chinese wall was being constructed. Construction of Chinese wall, 2020 BC, during the Han dynasty. From there, they constructed up to 14th, 15th century AD. They did it. They constructed it. And our forefathers were laborer there. That is what they said. And they cut through a hole through the Chinese wall and rush out. That's why they said that they come from here. It is the story made by them. It is wrong. Because in Chinese, Chinese civilization is from 2700 BC. 2700 BC, Chinese civilization. They knew at that time how to make crown of gold, silver, how to weave silk cloth, Muga Indi cloth. They trade in Muga Indi with other countries, Chinese civilization, 2700 BC. And now this Chinese world was constructed only to 120 BC. From there continued up to 15th century AD. Now these people, our ancestors, let us say, the laborer, they saw Chinese king having golden crown, silver clothing, iron swords, fighting with others. Such a development was there. Now, the Naga ancestor in China, who has seen these things, who has seen the Chinese development, Chinese building, cement pakka building, Chinese wall, everything. King with golden crown, with silver dresses, with sword of iron. They have seen it, our forefathers seen it, suppose, if they are right. Then when they come to Nagaland, maybe about 2200 AD, suppose they come. Now when they come to Nagaland, let us suppose, these ancestors of Nagas coming from China, who have seen all these things, when they reach Nagaland, they've forgotten everything. They do not know how to dress also. They do not know how to whip any cloth also. They do not know how to construct houses. Who had constructed the Chinese wall, come to Nagaland, they don't know how to construct houses. You know the condition of Nagaland a few years ago. Then they have whipped for this Chinese king, silver, this silk, Muga, Indi, everything, they did it. When they come to Nagaland, they've forgotten and they're naked. In 1939, when Von Hamendorf visited Nagaland, many Naga tribes, I don't like to mention or this particular thing, they did not know how to dress also. How they can forget it? Even the small bird learned from his mother to make their own nest. How human being who has learned these things, having seen golden dresses, having seen silk dresses, having seen swords of iron, when they reach to Nagaland, they become naked. They know nothing. They do not know how to make houses, to build houses, how to cultivate. They don't know. The men who constructed Chinese wall do not know how to make houses here, concrete building. So useless theory. How this will come there? From there we can go. That's right. We accept. If our men, somebody has went to China, then we can believe it. But Chinese people are 2700 BC civilization is there. Perhaps the third oldest civilization. Indus Valley civilization in India is the first oldest 5,000 years. Harappa, Mohenjo-daro civilization. So how can you think like it?
Yes.
This is therefore I don't like this type of copying theories. We should not speak like this. We are just degrading ourselves. Naga brought down to the level of India. According to our story in the world, human being was created there at all. and our land. And how my land? God created man there first. Other maybe so creating somewhere that I don't know. Every religion, every history says that God created at their places. Of course, it is different method. We also have that question. Secondly, I tell you, when God created man, human being, here in Naga area, at that time God was also the big primary gods were born, and still their houses are there in the hill of Nagas. From the very beginning, God, abode of God was there in every hill, there, here, and here. In Tamil also, Ganglor Namtan, there is a abode of God. Then Kaswabut is also, Pongling Dong is there, which was the abode of God since they were born. God were born in the beginning. That is our story. So much we have to be proud of. But when they said this thing that we come from there, we come from there, we have nothing. We are
Yes.
zero people. I don't accept this type of theory. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much for answering the questions in a very detailed and elaborate manner. I know there are a lot more that we want to raise, but as I said, the time is running out. So maybe we should end the question and answers session right now and move on to the next. That is a recap and a closing word from Professor Adina Panmai. Adina, are you there? Over to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It's not so much a recap or a closing remark, but more of a vote of thanks. It is my great pleasure to propose a brief vote of thanks. In fact, the organizing committee and all in attendance this evening are deeply grateful to Professor Mezipo for taking interest in our event and sharing his rich insights with all of us. Professor was unwell for the last 3 weeks or so, yet he is kind enough to speak to us as soon as he is back to health. Very enthusiastic and a passionate speaker. Professor is a great delight to listen to. You have a wealth of historical knowledge. We would love to sit and continue listening to you, in fact, but for want of time. Therefore, we want to say thank you. We are very grateful to you for connecting with us this evening. You have ironed out and smoothened a lot of discrepancies in our historical understanding. You have greatly dealt on the meanings of many words which are of interest to us, words which were familiar but are not really certain of their meanings. So thank you for bringing clarity to a lot of these words, going into the roots and the etymology of these words. You have extensively dealt on the character, the identity, the political ideology of Haipou Jadonang. So I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your rich insights to all of us. I also would like to thank Sister Tina Pamay for beautifully and ably moderating the first lecture of our webinar series. So congratulations. I thank the technical team for the technical support. Thanks to all the participants for joining with us this evening. We certainly need to continue this discourse in our search for our place in history and cementing our identity within the larger landscape and narratives of Naga political aspiration. So we will continue to host a series of lectures. We will continue to update you in the group as and when they happen. So thank you once again, everyone. Have a lovely evening ahead. Stay safe, you all, wherever you are, and God bless.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. From my side too. One good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.